Hey you, welcome back to the Redefining YEW podcast. I'm your host, Lyndria Wynn, and we are back for episode 7. I'm excited, and as promised, we finally have our very first guest. Not gonna give too much fluff, we're gonna jump right into it. I'd like to introduce my husband, Julius Wynn. Say hi, babe.
Hi.
Excuse him, he's being a little dry, but today is actually Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to you, and happy Father's Day to all of the daddies and daddies-to-be, and we really appreciate you for all that you do. We've been trying to get this guest thing situated for like too long. You would think we don't live in the same house or something, right?
We did it once before.
Let me tell you something about this. So I'm really big on what I bring to you guys, and the quality of sound was absolutely trash. Like, it was really terrible. There's a lot more stuff in here, so the sound isn't bouncing around as much as it was in our apartment. So I think it's a little bit better, but we're finally here. Before we jump in, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I'm an educator. I teach English. That's my profession. Outside of that, you can see me singing at the church on Sundays, doing music. Just pretty much work and music at the church. I mean, I do live stuff every now and then, doing like R&B and stuff.
Yeah, he has one coming up actually. Tell him about the one in July, right?
Yeah, July 22nd.
If you're
in Brevard County.
Yeah, Brevard County. Y'all, he's being modest and he's being dry, but he's really a hoot. You're gonna get him revved up and get the juices flowing. But he has a live show coming up on July 22nd in Brevard County. Yeah, make sure you check him out because he's dope.
Sad.
So let's get into it. Since it's Father's Day.
Why you ain't shout out the noobs?
No! And here we are. All right, so we've been trying to get this podcast together for like ever, y'all. And we had some really great conversations, some really good footage, some really good content that we were putting together for y'all originally. And again, the sound was just all over the place. You could barely hear the good stuff that we were talking about. So I figured that it's best for us to just start from scratch. Basically, we're gonna be talking about parenthood, and what better day to talk about that than Father's Day, a moment to reflect. We have been parenting now for almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years on July 6th. You've been a whole daddy out here. So...
Now, do they reflect on Mother's Day?
I always reflect.
Okay.
I always reflect. But you're the guest on this show, sir. So you're going to be the star of the show today. Okay?
Yeah, we have time today because Mother's Day, everybody go out for dinner and lunch and stuff. Father's Day, I got the homemade breakfast, but we have time in the afternoon.
So it's Father's Day, so we're gonna get into some of the nitty gritty. It's a moment to reflect, obviously. So tell me, what has been the most memorable moment of you being a parent? Like, what's been like the transforming moment for you? Like, for some people, it's the moment that you hold your baby, the moment that you hear them cry. Like, what was that turning moment for you? Like, the most incredible moment that you can think of or remember?
I don't think I have a moment.
Tell us about the moments. What's been your favorite part of being a parent?
Watching them grow and learn stuff and being able to talk on their own.
And mine is some of that. I miss some of the times where they couldn't talk and they couldn't communicate and they were totally reliant upon me. I miss some of those moments, honestly, because they are growing up so fast. Like, Caleb, our oldest son, literally just graduated from kindergarten. And I was crying as we'll probably put a picture in here, but I was crying and I was just so emotional because it's so emotional seeing a baby that you've kind of birthed and given life to that was totally dependent on you. You're the sole source of nourishment, grow up and become like a whole kid. That's emotional. I didn't see him shed any tears, but your favorite part has been watching them grow up and be more self-sufficient.
You want to shed tears when they was first born?
Yeah. Did you cry in the corner? You let nobody see?
Cry for what? Just because they was like born?
Yeah, that's emotional. That's a huge moment for a lot of people. My son's godfather cried in the hallway, and the reason I know this, Alton, if you watch this, I'm putting you on blast, but my mother actually saw Alton like wiping a few tears when he held and saw Caleb for the first time in the hallway when I delivered him.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I just feel like, why do people have to cry?
You don't have to. It's
But
just
it's
sometimes you're
almost like-
overcome with emotion.
But just if you're not crying, don't mean you're not emotional enough.
What? Sometimes you're overwhelmed with emotion, is what I said.
Yeah, but you come from a crying family, so y'all cry at everything.
Yes, now I'm not gonna lie. My family cries a lot. The Rollins clan, we hold no tears back, okay? We call it the eyeball sweating and our tear ducts acting up. But yeah, we cry and we let it rip around here.
But it's, y'all be crying. I mean, y'all would cry old McDonald had a farm. I mean, they cried Thanksgiving dinner. Somebody...
We do. Well, what's wrong with showing emotion? What's wrong with crying?
There's nothing wrong with it. I just think that because y'all cry, y'all expect everybody else to be crying all over the place. And I just feel like you crying 1,000 tears, somebody got to cry less tears.
Well, leave the tears to me. I will cry. I will certainly cry. And the older that I get, the more I find myself getting emotional and crying and being, sensitive. They say the older you get, in the Rollins side of the family, like, they just come. And that might be true, because my grandfather, he'll cry. He would be the one to cry about, old McDonald had a farm. Find something to cry about.
He'd be thinking, I'm grateful that he had a cow. Because we could have had no cows, no chickens, clucking everywhere. But thank you, Jesus, for old McDonald.
You better get off my granddaddy. Grandpa, I love you. Happy Father's Day to you too. All right, so let's pivot a little bit because I feel like I don't talk about a lot of like social issues and things that are going on with, the world on this podcast. But since you're here,
You don't talk in real life about it.
And I try.
You're gonna be wanting to know.
It's not that I don't want to know. I can't become over consumed with that stuff because
that's going from 0 to 10.
It internalizes it. I internalize that stuff, and
Why?
it's hard for me to.
You turn out because you don't talk about it.
I internalize it, and it's really hard for me to get past that stuff or like not think about it because I can't be a solution to any of it. Like I can't solve it. I can't fix it.
That is a luxury.
It's just.
That's
hard
almost like somebody
to think about.
that's like somebody saying to me. That's like somebody telling me that they're not affected by the problems of the world. That is a privilege. That's a luxury to have. The kind of job that I have, I don't get to just forget what's going on in the world. That's my real life.
This is true. And it's getting closer and closer to home too. Getting closer and closer to home too.
Just been at home.
Yeah.
I think you saying close to home because we have kids, but I've worked in school the last 7 years.
Right.
So before we even had kids, I was in these schools.
So what's your perspective? Like, what do you think is missing from the whole picture, the whole enchilada? Give us an alternative perspective to think about when you think about the Uvalde, the school shooting and things that are just going on with the world. And like with kids and families specifically, like where do you think we're going wrong? Where do you feel like we're dropping the ball?
I would boil all the problems down to people go to school and then people go to school and forget what they learned. And I think I would boil it down to that. They just forget the importance of their own education. Because right now you have politicians who go to school, they matriculate through college, get all these degrees, but then they don't put money back into education for more people to be exposed to things they were exposed to. Now I teach 10th grade, so my students' parents are sometimes in their 30s. My students' parents my age. And I think they make decisions about their kids in schooling based on what they did not like. So it's like a pendulum swinging. Now I understand if you don't like certain things about how you were educated, but you shouldn't swing the opposite way. Almost like somebody who didn't like whoopings. You choose to not whoop your child because you didn't like them, but every child is different. Mm-hmm. Maybe your child might need whooping here or there. Maybe don't need as many as you got. But just to say I don't want to do that completely because I didn't like it, that's just the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, I don't think any of us like them. Did we need them? Absolutely.
Because when we talk about school shootings and stuff, it's a bunch of malarkey that I hear because people say, well, make schools more secure. Make them this, put more armed guards there, gates and all that stuff. My high school had no gates around it. Most high schools growing up, they didn't have gates and all that stuff around it. To me, schools were very much more open before. So schools, they don't have as much access and there are more school shootings. So just to say, putting more guards there, that's one thing. I mean, likewise, the police officers don't even really walk around the schools like that, from my experience. Like, they're there on campus. But I can't tell you the last time I saw a police officer walking down the hall. Like, I broke up a fight this year by myself. I put out a fire this year by myself.
He did, y'all.
So, now you want me to come and be shooting the people that's on. It's like, I ain't signed up for all that.
Facts. So what I just heard you say, like while you were talking, it kind of dawned on me that, yeah, like we had a whole lot more freedoms and liberties. Like people used to go off campus for lunch and stuff like that, when we were in high school, and there weren't as much security. I mean, granted, we had one security officer at the gate making sure kids didn't leave campus in their cars and stuff, but she didn't do so hot of a job, to be honest. But you're right, we are a lot more secure and we're still having the issues. So from my perspective, and you know how I roll, I feel like it goes way deeper than just, the schooling, and it goes to the internal, the person, the individuals, what's happening in the home. Like, I feel like a lot of, just like you said, people choosing not to whoop their kids because they didn't like it when they got whoopings. I mean, sometimes you need a whooping. Like, spare the rod for a child.
But I wouldn't say that. I mean, if we're talking about mass shootings in a school setting, I wouldn't go that route. I would try, if I was a politician, I would try to push more for mental health counselors on campus, mental health trainings or whatever, because I think this generation, they don't, with the dawn of social media, these new kids don't know how to channel their energy. They don't have problem solving skills and people skills. Mm-hmm. They know how to be social, but they don't know how to, when they encounter drama, they go on and on and on and all year long. They don't know how to move past it. So I would say mental health, just dealing more with their mental health, knowing how to deal with their feelings, giving those tools that they didn't have before. And then I would do something about access to certain kinds of guns, because to me it's a twofold issue. Take some guns off the market and then do a better job with mental health trainings and stuff.
That's good. So,
but I wouldn't say more armed guards, because if we currently have an issue with getting teachers to work and paying people to teach. To me, it's a slap in the face as a teacher for y'all to be like, well, we're gonna pay more people to come and arm. Like you're going to pay more people to come stand there versus pay me more to be in the classroom.
Facts.
And to me, they need to figure out a different solution, because I'm not gonna be shooting nobody's child. I ain't signed up for work like that. Like, I tell my students, if you the shooter, we'll take you out, but I would prefer not to have a gun in my classroom, because I could just see it going left. Like, there's a lot of times when kids be fighting in the classroom. So I could see it one time, I could see a teacher, maybe a biased teacher, pulling a gun on the student. And all it's gonna take is one time.
That's an interesting
for a
perspective
teacher.
that a lot of people don't think about.
For a teacher, all they gotta say is, I'm in fear for my life. It's like, I didn't sign up to do that. So I need the politicians to figure out a way to make it everybody safe, because we supposed to be the United States of America. And last time I checked was majority rule. So whatever the majority comes up with is what it should be. But nobody asked the teachers what we think. Ain't nobody came to no faculty meeting to ask us if we want to be out here packing. Like, nobody asked us. They, even with last year in Lake County, we had a whole pandemic. We went on break, and we went on spring break in March. Pandemic still going in August, and we came back to school.
I remember that. The crazy part is, and thankfully, we missed that whole homeschooling situation, like, by the hair of our chinny chin chin, because our oldest son, was still 4 at the time. He wasn't required to be in kindergarten. So we missed that whole having to homeschool our kids. But I cannot imagine trying to teach and help people teach, helping Miss Sturtzbach teach Caleb his first year of school, knowing that he didn't know how to write, grip a pencil. Like, those are things that nobody was really prepared for. Teachers go to school for a reason, to be able to educate and teach kids. Then you got a whole bunch of parents.
But that in itself that's not always true. If you go to school and you major in English education, yeah, you learn English and how to teach students that. If you go to school, and people don't be knowing, if you go to school, if you go to school for business, or you go to school for chemistry and you decide you want to teach, nobody teach you how to like deal with kids. Like, you really have to learn it on your own. It's like being thrown out there to sea. And maybe take a couple courses here and there. But teaching is a learned skill. Because even if I go to school for education, every year the kids are different. And so there's really no way to prepare a teacher to deal with the kids, because you never know what you're going to get. Every batch of students is completely different. Well, what works for some kids might not work for others.
I mean, that's kids in general.
It is, but you also,
I noticed that
you
between
expect,
our 2 kids that we have,
they have different temperaments. And yes, the kids gonna have different temperaments, but it starts with my job, trying to educate them, is them having respect. Like, having some sort of decorum. And that's what they don't. Schools just change. You know, yes, we jump on top of the topic, but it be hard in these streets. But if we had to homeschool, I would be a drunkard.
what?
I told you that they teacher probably drunk right now.
Not because of our kids. We have good kids.
Yes, but I be stressed.
No. I don't think you'd be a drunkard. I feel like they would get a whole lot of unnecessary spankings, but I don't think you'd be a
I don't
drunkard.
think they'd be thinking. I think I would just drink myself to peace of mind. Because I can.
We gotta play together to drink my love, because
Jesus turned water, and he asked them if they wanted refills.
but he clearly said don't be drunk with the wine of the world.
Yeah, but Jesus didn't have to teach 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds how to read.
No,
he said read in the name of Jesus, and they started reading. He touched their mouth like that, and they started reading. Could you imagine trying to teach Levi how to write?
No.
How Caleb how to read?
No,
I'm saying I would need a drink right here. Tito's Tonic and Lime.
I can't even imagine. Like, we missed that way by the hair of our chinny chin chin.
No, what it is, the Lord knows how much you can bear. He said he knew the pandemic.
I believe that too.
He knew the pandemic 5 years ago. He said, nah, get into a summer, baby, because they not going to be able to handle this one. I can't go to school. I can't. Could you imagine me trying to teach? I was teaching the kids online. You looking at a bunch of letters on the screen, kids sleep, you calling their name, ain't nobody answering, then the mama calling you, why you mark them absent? Well, you're not talking. You imagine doing that all day, then have to come home after, and then we'll go into the other room.
Yeah.
And then,
literally.
All right, y'all come on, let's read.
I can't even imagine. So, what's your perspective? How do you feel like faith ties into what we are experiencing today? Like, for those of you who don't know, he's a PK. He's grown up in church all his life. Like, his father is a pastor. So he know the word. But how do you feel like faith ties into all of this? Like, how do you think we could exercise our faith? How do you feel like you exercise your faith in these particular situations, like in school, in your profession? How have you been exercising your faith?
You really walk by faith and not by sight, because every day I go to work, you don't never know what you're going to get.
It's true.
I don't never go to work thinking I'm going to break up a fight, or I'm going to have to put out a fire, or somebody will be flipping desk over in my class trying to get to another student. Like, it's like planting seeds. That's how I look at it. Because at the end of the day, this is America and it's a capitalist economy. So you want the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
So I just try to communicate that to my students and give them all the tools, and just, you try not to label the kids as bad. I mean, some of them are some of them are really bad. Some of them is really bad, just rosemary. Some of them is just the seeds of Chucky. But people change and people grow. And so
true.
You have to just treat them like one day they will be better. Otherwise.
But how do you do that though? Like,
I mean, they're not my kids, so it's easy.
You feel like it's easier to deal with kids that don't belong to you than children that you know what you deposited in them?
Yes, because for my kids, I have to take full ownership. Mm-hmm. My students, I only have them, we're blocked, so I have them about an hour and 45 minutes every other day.
Okay.
I can only deal with them while they're in my presence. Or if they reach out, if they come after school or something, or they find me on social media. Other than that, all I can do is hope and pray that they'll get it one day.
So you do what you can do and you don't worry about the rest?
Yeah, otherwise you'll be stressed.
And you don't feel that you're stressed in your current position?
There's a level of stress in every position, but I'm not overly stressed because, again, some of my students gonna make it, some of them will fail. I mean, somebody has to work at 7-Eleven. No shade at my 7-Eleven workers. Somebody gotta be at Ross, just like somebody gotta be at Wells Fargo, somebody gotta be at Old Navy. Like, people have to work all these jobs. And I fully understand that some of my students will work jobs that they won't want to have. I just try to tell them, when you skip class, when you don't turn in your work, that's like taking options off the menu. If you do your work and your homework, then when you graduate, you can get anything off the menu. So it's not a me thing. Yes, I want to see all of them make it and succeed, but that's on them. I'm just there to plant seeds, water and fertilize the seeds, and then you just hope they grow. I don't even hope that I'll see the growth. I just hope that they'll grow, because teaching is like a thankless job.
So how do you feel like that translates like into our home and like our kids? Because everybody wants to think that they got special kids and their kids are smart and they're unique in their own way and they're gonna make it, they're gonna be world changers. Like, everybody thinks that, but I really think that about our kids. Like, they are special and they're unique in their own way, and we both see like great things in them. So how do you feel like, what do you think you're doing differently that are going to make them a part of the population with all the pieces and all the things and all the options that are on their menu? Like, what do you feel like you or we are doing differently?
Then who?
Then the people who are going to be, who not going to have the options, who are going to constantly have things ripped away from their menu and choices.
I wouldn't go as far to say that I do anything different, because if I say that I'm doing differently, that is me judging someone else's parenting skills. And as a teacher,
not better, differently.
But I can't even say that, because I think with Caleb and Levi, I just try to hold them accountable. Like, they're younger, and so the teachers let us know what's going on. You gotta think, I teach 10th graders, so my students are 15, 16, sometimes 17. And this year, I had a junior and I had a senior, so I had age range from 15 all the way up to like 18. What you learn real quick as a teacher is the kids are different at the school than they are at their houses. And so I can never be like, a parent is not doing something, because when I meet parents, a lot of times they are holding their kids accountable. They do want the best for them. They have instilled in them, and the kids come to school and be but wild. And so, and then it's hard now because Caleb is 5. My students are 15. That's a 10-year difference. Like, Caleb is not going to be the same in 10 years.
No, he won't.
He'll be different. And so it's just my hope that we know what's going on with him, to where we can hold him accountable and steer him the right way, because kids are really different when they go to school. Like,
but what we found thus far is that our kids are not. Like, surprisingly, they get the same Caleb, probably a better Caleb
now,
than they get.
But this is first year of school. Like, I can't say it's going to be the same in 10 years.
Or next year, or the year after, or the
like,
more
as he
he's
gets
exposed
more
to.
people around him, more bad habits, more influences, like, I'm expecting him to change. Since I'm expecting him to make mistakes. I mean, he's a child. I mean, he got to learn. I just know that when the kids be at school, it's different when they be at their house. Like, I have kids whose parents don't even know them. Like,
Flesh that out for me. Help me understand. Help the people understand what you mean.
Well, the school I'm at now is like, low-key is like lesbian central. And I say it with all the love in my heart. But I have kids that their parents don't even know. I mean, they be at school booed up, and their parents don't even know that they're interested in the same sex. Or the kids, the parents don't even know the kids are being sexually active. They don't even know.
They don't know, or they don't want to know.
They don't know.
Because I feel like there's a level, so like growing up, like my mom.
No, they don't know. They don't know.
I don't know, because there's a level of you want to maintain their innocence in your eyes. Because I
No, the kids be at the innocent.
I struggle with that now.
It be kids that I know. I'd be like, you was the one they called in the auditorium, hunch? Kids are honor students. It's no longer just the troublemaker students.
Yeah, it's the people
all
who
the kids,
least
all y'all kids on campus getting freaky with it if they in high school. 80%, I would say.
And that's heartbreaking, because as you and I both know, like, what comes, I mean, you in your 30s, me almost in my 30s, like, we both know what comes along with being sexually active as a child. But the same things that happen to us as adults, we be acting crazy, busting windows out cars, that same spirit attaches to children who have half of the mental capacity, half of the emotional capacity to deal with that stuff. So, like, how do you think that, I mean, obviously, the Bible speaks about these things. The Bible talks about what the world will be, and obviously sin is sin. But how do you feel like, how did we get this far? Like, I feel like there are still some kids who will be open and honest enough. I was in high school 10 years ago, 11 years ago, but there were certain things that I didn't do because I had an open relationship with my mother. She didn't give me permission to run and act a fool, but she talked to me and she communicated.
Kids have open relationships with their parents too. Their parents just don't be knowing what they be doing. A lot of kids be coming to talk to me. I'm like Big Brother Wynn.
And you don't think that that speaks to them not feeling comfortable?
I don't try to diagnose anything. That's not my job. My job is to listen and create an atmosphere where the kids feel welcome. If kids don't feel welcome, they can't learn. So I'm not there to judge nobody.
Yeah.
I don't be caring what they be doing. I'm there to teach English.
Wow. So we're not gonna get too far left, too deep. Let's talk about your journey in parenthood, because I know for me, mine has been, and I know we parent the same kids, but my experience with the kids has been completely different than what my husband has experienced. And I would say the earlier parts of my kid's life was more on me. And I feel like as they're growing older, a lot of it is falling on you, primarily because of the role that I play in my position at work and like me traveling and stuff like that. So you are taking a lot of the work. Well, I mean, it's still split, but you do a lot more for the kids than you did when they were infants and babies. And I think that's more so because you enjoy this part of parenting more than you did waking up every 2-3 hours to give Caleb and Levi a bottle.
I think I would disagree slightly. I think your parenting to me changed once Levi was born because Levi was so attached.
Parenting for Levi or parenting?
I just think it's just been like, if you're talking about time and stuff, Caleb was always with me a lot of times.
Well, not always, but he was with you.
Well, I mean, you had a C-section, so you couldn't really move like that. And then Caleb was your daddy's boy. So I don't think you know or recall how many Caleb meetings he went to.
Yeah.
How many times, like, he was just always on my hip. So I think learning wise, I learned real quick, all right, this is your child. It's gonna always be here, right by your side. And I think just our schedules, like I'm a teacher, so I'm off on summers. I think just our jobs, my job is more open during the summer, so typically during the summer times, they're with me all day long.
Like I said, it's just it's just one of those things. It's one of those things. How do you feel like they've influenced you? Like you as your character, as a man, who you are. How do you feel like your kids have influenced you? Because I've definitely been influenced by kids, 5 and 4-year-olds.
Influence is a strong word that I don't know that I would choose that one.
Okay, well what word would you choose?
I just think I'm more patient now. But that was a mental thing that I try to do. Like, I thought that I was being a little uptight and spanking them too much. So mentally, I was like, all right, let me calm down. But I don't think it was anything. I don't think there's nothing that they did. I just think that as a parent, as an adult, if you're not self-reflecting and trying to grow, then you got a problem.
You don't have to do anything to be influential. Like, you can just exist and be influencing people in a passive manner. Influence,
when you say the word influence, the underlying hidden meaning is that I'm doing something on my end that somebody sees that makes them want to change. I don't know if they've done anything that I'm looking at. Like, you know, that would be a question for Alton, because Alton be like, oh, look at them and find the joy in the world, let me go find it. Like, I don't look at them like that. I look at them as like an empty painting, and each day something is adding to it. And I'm just there to make sure they're coloring inside the lines. Well, not even they're coloring inside the lines, that they are coloring, that they're coloring.
That they're doing, that they're active.
Because I'm not even gonna say that they're staying on the easel, because I don't want them to be boxed in. I think I'm just there to make sure that they are living and existing and thriving, and giving them the option to choose what brings them joy. Like, I don't want to limit them.
That's good. I would say I've been influenced not only from a patient standpoint, but you alluded to Alton, but they've influence me in like their curiosity and the way that their minds think, I find myself more curious about just the world and why people do the things that they do. Caleb asks me all the time.
I would say you've been nosy before they came along.
Not nosy.
That's what it is. Y'all try to be like, it's curious when it's a baby, but it's being nosy. That's really what it is.
It's something about the curiosity of a child. And like
they don't know anything.
The wonder. Like when I take them places, like that's why I be low-key jealous when you take them places without me. Cause I don't have to do anything with them. I just want to see the wonder in their eyes and like watch their eyes light up and like, oh mommy, oh, that brings me so much joy, but it influences me because there are so many things. Like when I went on the cruise with my mom and like I went to the Bahamas and we kind of ventured off. We didn't do like a paid excursion. We like paid these people, like these Uber drivers to like take us around the city. It's probably a little dangerous now that I'm thinking about it, but I was with my mama and we kind of experienced the world.
What's the woman gonna do? She's strapped.
I was with my mama, so I felt safe, but then I had to protect my mama. It's just
the Waller's gonna throw them hands if it comes to it.
Listen, what we will do, what you're not gonna do is get the best of me.
The woman gonna fight too?
Listen, my mama's the fight starter.
Your mama gonna start the fight.
She's the fight starter.
Her doing what? Just talking? Or she gonna swing? Cause I need to know what y'all gonna do.
You throwing me off track, but what I was saying is they influenced me to be curious and to get curious about the world and how I can do things differently and just being open because they don't have just one way to do anything. They're not boxed in from that perspective at all. Like you said, they're not boxed in. They will find a new way to do the same thing over and over again. Caleb is more methodical, and I think I'm more influenced by Levi than anything because Levi, he gonna get it however he does it. And however he does it, he's happy with it. He can do it, he can be doing the same exact chore 5 different ways. Caleb is more methodical. And it's interesting to watch their little personalities and the way their mind functions and just pops off. I'm influenced by that because I want to be more open and not be so rigid in what I think. I'm a principal in the ways that matter. I think I'm also more conscious and aware of what's happening spiritually with things and being very protective over the energy and what I allow them to partake in. I know I have been more on guard.
You be
with
a
that.
little over. You be OD with that. She wouldn't let them watch Chronicles of Narnia, bruh.
So let's talk about this because I feel like I'm curious now. How have, being a father influenced your faith? How has your faith been influenced? What's changed with your faith since you've become a parent?
I think that when you are trying to raise kids, your faith gets strengthened because, for one, you need to know what you're talking about before you tell the kids. Because faith, I'm saying because
spirituality standpoint?
Yeah, because you talking about faith, right? Faith being the concept of believing in God, right? Or just believing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if I'm going to talk to my kids about the Lord, my faith is strengthened because I need to know that He's there and know. Because if I don't believe it, how can I teach them?
So let's rephrase the question then. Has becoming a father influenced, encouraged, impacted your faith in any way, shape, or form?
I try to separate things. Meaning, like, I try to separate, compartmentalize things. I think you put faith and spirituality at the middle of everything. And I don't think I do that. But I don't think I do that.
Why?
Because my life doesn't, well, not my life, but what I do doesn't always, like, I don't think, yes, my students know I'm a Christian, but I can't go into the classroom forcing religion on everybody, because I have kids that are atheists, agnostic, and so in my everyday profession, I'm not able to just go in the classroom and be like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And so I think now I just compartmentalize stuff. I try to separate things. Mm-hmm. Even as a voter, like, I just separate my faith from a lot of different things, because my faith has something to do with me. And I try not to put my faith and beliefs on other people.
Yeah, I think that's totally possible. Allowing your faith to be front and center of any and everything that you do without you pushing or forcing it on anyone else. I think there's a level of maturity that when you get to a place in your faith and your spiritual walk, that it don't matter what you got going on. It's like for me in my house, this is what we gonna do. And whatever you choose to do, that's on y'all. I mean, I'm here.
But that's different from faith. Like, for you in my house, we gonna serve the Lord. That is serving. Serving has nothing to do with faith.
But even living for God,
I mean, it's slightly tied. Living for God has something to do with, if faith is the concept of believing that He's there, do you have to believe that He's there in order to serve?
To serve God or to serve? Because there's a whole lot of charities out here that's doing good things, but there's a very distinct line between, recognizing Christ as Lord and just being a good person. Because we both know what the Bible says about that as well.
I would say recognizing that He is Lord is different from faith as well. Because you have to have faith before you can recognize that He is Lord. There's faith in the acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, I can't look at the kids and be like, all right, they did this with my faith, because that's just the belief that He is there. Mm-hmm. I can say that they have helped me to look at areas of my life that I could be better at, particularly, like I said before, being more patient, dealing with my students, and being aware of, all right, if this is my student in the class, how would I want the teacher to handle them? Things like that. Just understanding that kids are like sponges.
I'll say this, my faith has been strengthened since being a parent, since being a mom.
But would you put that on the boys and what they've done, or just the fact that they're there and having them there?
It's the things that I've witnessed being a parent that strengthened my faith. They've made me want to be more intentional in my walk with God, because I have someone watching me constantly. Before, it was just me and you for a while.
I was looking at you.
But it was just me. I wasn't responsible for life. I wasn't responsible for raising someone in the ways of God to be lovers of God. I wasn't responsible for that.
See, but I feel like you look at it like they're watching you, and I don't look at it like they're watching. Yeah, I understand they're watching. I just feel like as you get older, you grow.
You lost me. I don't.
I'm saying, I think you're talking about. So you're looking at it like, all right, I got these little boys watching me, so that's forced me to do yada yada.
No, not forcing me. It's just, it changes my desire, knowing that they're watching me, that I'm responsible for them living a life for God, or whatever it is, being successful, or whatever that it is. Knowing that they're there and that I created them and I'm responsible for them, it makes me want to go harder. It pushes me. That's a push that I didn't have before.
Yeah, I don't be feeling that way. I feel like they're there, and I understand they're gonna learn from us. But I just kind of feel
really
like,
great examples.
Yeah, but I feel, and I have felt, and we talked about this. Is I feel like if I work on myself, and I'm constantly trying to get better, if you're constantly trying to get better, then by default they will be better. And that's kind of how I govern life just in general.
And they get better because they're watching you.
Right, but I'm not changing because they're watching. I'm trying to get better because that's the right thing for me to do for myself, because I want to, not because they're looking.
Yeah, but it's certainly, and I think that's just one of the ways that we're different, because knowing that they're there creates a greater sense of urgency for me, knowing that they're there. Like, that's like if you woke up in the morning and you didn't want to brush your teeth or something. If you wasn't gonna come kiss me or go out and do something, you might wait until noon to brush your teeth before you gotta do something. I mean, it's just one of those things. But
you really have beef with kissing with morning breath, but I don't really. I feel like that is true love when you can kiss with morning breath.
It's love. It's all love.
You be like, I be like, can you get a little tongue or something?
I don't enjoy that.
I just feel like your breath stink, mine stink.
Exactly.
Like how you gonna know that it's my breath that stink?
Exactly.
You can just be tasting your own breath.
No.
Just go get a little swig of Kool-Aid. Just wash it out your mouth or something.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna transition right into this week's redefining moment. Typically, we always take a moment to kind of like reflect and like really just dig deep and do some self-reflection. This is our first guest episode, probably one of our more interesting segments, I would say, just having somebody else here, a differing perspective. I just want to encourage you that even if today's Father's Day, so even if you didn't experience like the ideal father situation, because we all have different upbringings and different childhoods and different experiences overall, but something that I really want to encourage you is that you don't have to finish the way that you started. Like, just because your start was less than ideal and the people that you had growing up were not, maybe they weren't lovers of God, maybe they weren't the best influences, maybe they weren't, everything that you needed them to be when you needed them to be it. Maybe they didn't see you or hear you or make it a priority to make you a priority. The beautiful thing about that is that we get to rewrite our own stories. We get to create the life that we want to live, essentially, with the help of God, honestly. And I just want to encourage you to, if it's not what you thought it was going to be, or it's not what you want it to be right now, you get to frame it, inform it, and make it what you want it to be.
It's my turn?
You typically don't say anything about it.
Okay, well, I need mine.
But
I got you. So I'm going to leave you guys with something that I tell my students. I actually have it written on the board in my classroom. Why do I have it written? Because I feel like if they can master this one phrase and apply it to their lives, they'll be wherever they want to be. I was watching a panel with your boy, Anthony O'Neill. He had this lady on there. I forget what her name is. Oh, well, I would quit her. But this is what she said, and this is what I would tell all y'all to do. She said, speak what you seek till you see what you spoke. I'll repeat it. Speak what you seek till you see what you spoke. If you can master that, then life will be exactly what you want it to be.
I like it.
I'm not going to drop the mic. I'm not going to throw it down.
Thank you, because you have to be prepared to pay for a new one.
I bought this first. I bought this one.
I'm just
You
saying.
told the people?
I'm just saying. You have to
I invested.
You did. You invested in my vision, and you helped it.
And I'm glad to see you ain't got the lipstick on the mic like the ones at the church.
And that's it for this week's Redefining Moment, y'all. So we're going to get ready to jump off. Thank you so much for joining me, Julius, for episode 7.
My silhouette.
Of the Redefining YEW podcast. Tell the people where they can find you.
On Facebook, Julius Wynn. Instagram, take3_. 1911.
All right. Follow Redefining YEW, YEW, and Lyndria Wynn, or Quench_Dree on IG, Lyndria Wynn on Facebook. Until next time, folks, we'll see you. Bye.